Number. Part 1. The Trap. The stars stretched endlessly across the view screen of the cargo ship times Taeho's Pride *. Captain Hyun-woo sat in his command chair, watching the empty space ahead. His ship carried medical supplies and equipment for the colony on Brennan's world. It was a routine run through the Outer Veil sector, one he had made dozens of times before. "Captain, I'm picking up multiple contacts on long-range sensors," said Ji-woo from the pilot station. Her fingers moved quickly across the controls, her expression calm but focused. 15 ships. Moving to intercept our position. Hyun-woo leaned forward. "Can you identify them?" "Running signatures now," Ji-woo replied. A moment later, her screen flashed red. "It's the Valkyrie. A full raiding fleet." The bridge went quiet. Everyone knew about the Valkyrie. They were insectoid pirates who had terrorized this sector for generations. They attacked merchant ships, took cargo, and sold crews into slavery. Their reputation was built on violence and fear. "They're spreading out in a encirclement pattern," Ji-woo continued. "They're trying to trap us." Hyun-woo stood and straightened his uniform. "All hands. This is the captain. Battle stations. I repeat, battle stations. This is not a drill." The ship's alarm began to sound throughout the corridors. In the engine room, Dae-hyun immediately began shutting down non-essential systems and rerouting power. In the medical bay, Youngmi locked down sensitive equipment and prepared trauma beds. At the weapons station hidden behind a cargo monitor panel, Tae-young's hands moved over controls that most people didn't even know existed. "They're hailing us," said the communications officer. "Put it on screen," Hyun-woo ordered. The view screen changed to show a massive insectoid creature. Its chitinous face had multiple eyes that glowed with a cruel yellow light. Mandibles clicked together as it spoke, the translator rendering its words into human language. "Human vessel, you are surrounded. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Surrender your cargo and crew, and we may let some of you live." The creature's name appeared on the screen. War Chief Thrak-Zul, commander of the Valkyrie raiding fleet. Behind him, dozens of Valkyrie warriors moved about their ship, weapons ready. Hyun-woo said nothing. He simply stared at the alien commander. "Do you understand, human?" Thrak-Zul demanded. "You have no choice. One ship against 15. Your species is weak. You talk and negotiate. You do not fight. Surrender now." Still, Hyun-woo remained silent. He glanced at his crew. Ji-woo gave him a small nod. Dae-hyun's voice came through the internal comm. "Power transfers complete, Captain. All systems ready." Youngmi reported medical bay secure. Tae-young confirmed weapons status with a simple thumbs up. "Human, you try my patience." Thrak-Zul roared. "We know what you are. Soft. Afraid of violence. We have raided your kind before. You always surrender. You always pay. This is no different." Hyun-woo finally smiled. It was not a friendly expression. "You've raided human ships before?" he asked quietly. "Yes. Many times. Your cargo ships cry and beg. They offer money. They plead for their lives. It is pathetic." "I see," Hyun-woo said. "And did you check the registry of this particular ship before you decided to attack?" Thrak-Zul's mandibles clicked in what might have been confusion. "Registry? What does it matter? A cargo ship is a cargo ship." "No," Hyun-woo said, his voice turning cold. "Not all cargo ships are the same. You should have been more careful. Asterisk. Taeho's Pride Times is a Sol-class vessel. Do you know what that means?" The Valkyrie commander stared at him. Behind Thrak-Zul, one of his officers was frantically checking something on a console. The officer's face changed, eyes widening in what looked like fear. "War Chief," the officer said urgently. "The Sol-class designation it's flagged in our database as..." "It means you've made a terrible mistake," Hyun-woo interrupted. He made a cutting gesture. The communication link ended. and the view screen returned to showing the Velkari fleet. Ji Woo, evasive pattern Delta. Dae Hyun, drop the false plates. Tae Yang, weapons free. Yes, sir, came the simultaneous replies. The times Taeo's pride times suddenly accelerated. The Velkari ships, expecting a slow, helpless cargo vessel, scrambled to adjust. But something else was happening to the human ship. Sections of the outer hull began to separate and fall away. What the Velkari had thought was a simple cargo vessel was shedding its disguise. Beneath the false hull plates, reinforced armor gleamed in the starlight. Hatches opened along the ship's sides, and weapon turrets emerged. What had looked like cargo handling equipment rotated and locked into position, revealing themselves as railguns. Storage pods split open to expose missile launchers. The times Taeho's pride times wasn't just a cargo ship. It was a warship pretending to be a cargo ship. Cargo bay doors opening, Tae Yang announced. Targeting solutions locked. Ready to fire on your command, Captain. Through the view screen, the Velkari fleet was visible, still closing in. They expected to find frightened merchants. Instead, they were facing something else entirely. Hyun-woo sat back in his command chair. His crew was ready, his ship was ready, and the Velkari were about to learn a lesson that humanity had decided to teach the galaxy after the First Contact War 20 years ago. Never assume humans are helpless. Never assume humans won't fight back. Never assume a human ship is just what it appears to be. All weapons, Hyun-woo said calmly. Fire. The space around times Taeho's pride times lit up with weapon fire. Railgun rounds accelerated to incredible speeds, crossing the distance to the nearest Velkari ships in seconds. Missiles streaked away, leaving glowing trails. The automated defense turrets tracked and engaged smaller targets with ruthless precision. 3 Velkari ships exploded before they could even react. Their shields, designed to stop the weak weapons of typical merchants, shattered under military-grade firepower. Debris scattered across space, glowing with residual heat. The remaining 12 Velkari ships broke formation, scattering in panic and confusion. Their commanders were screaming at each other over communication channels, trying to understand what had just happened. War Chief Thraxul stared at his tactical display in disbelief. In less than 30 seconds, he had lost 3 ships. The human cargo vessel was still firing, still maneuvering, still fighting. All ships, he roared. Destroy that vessel. Kill them all. But deep in his mind, a terrible thought was forming. What if everything they knew about humans was wrong? Part 2. The Revelation. 20 years ago, humanity made first contact with alien life. It was not the peaceful meeting that Earth's diplomats had hoped for. The Krellian Empire had arrived in human space with demands and ultimatums. When humanity refused to submit, the Krellians attacked. The war lasted 3 brutal years. Human colonies burned. Millions died. Earth itself came under siege. Humanity learned a terrible lesson during those years. The galaxy was not a safe place. And, predators existed among the stars, and they saw weakness as an invitation to attack. When the war finally ended, humanity's leaders met in the ruins of Geneva. They made a decision that would change everything. Never again would humans be caught unprepared. Never again would they rely on the mercy of others. Every human ship, every human colony, every human installation would be ready to fight. The Sol-class vessels were born from that decision. They looked like ordinary cargo ships. They had the same basic hull design, the same identification signatures, the same civilian registrations. But hidden beneath their unremarkable exteriors, they were warships. Captain Hyun-woo had commanded a destroyer during the war with the Krellians. He had fought in the Battle of Titan, where the human fleet made its desperate last stand. He had watched friends die. He had given orders that sent people to their deaths. When the war ended, he could have retired with honors. Instead, he volunteered for the Merchant Raider program. Why do you want to command a cargo ship? the admiral had asked him during the interview. Because someone has to, Hyunwoo had replied. The war taught us that we can't assume peace. We need people who remember how to fight, even on our civilian vessels. Now, years later, that decision was proving its worth. 3 more Valkyrie ships moving to flank us, Jiwoo reported. Her hands moved smoothly over the controls, sending the Times Taeho's Pride Times into a roll that avoided incoming fire. She had flown interceptors during the war, had been one of the best pilots in her squadron. Her record was 47 confirmed kills. Most people who saw her working as a cargo ship pilot had no idea what she was capable of. Dae-hyun, I need more power to the forward shields, Hyunwoo said. Already on it, Captain, came the reply from engineering. Dae-hyun had been special operations during the war, part of a team that sabotaged enemy installations deep behind enemy lines. His skill with technology and improvisation made him invaluable. He could rebuild a damaged system using spare parts and determination. In the medical bay, Youngmi checked her supplies one more time. She had been a combat medic on Proxima 4, where human ground forces fought the Krellians in brutal urban warfare. She had operated on wounded soldiers while under fire, had held dying friends in her arms, had made impossible decisions about who to save when time and supplies ran out. Now she ran routine medical checks on a cargo crew. But her training never left her. At the weapons station, Taeyang tracked targets with cold efficiency. He had been a gunnery sergeant, had trained hundreds of soldiers in weapons operation. His hands knew every weapon system humanity had ever built. Today, he would use all of that knowledge. Target the engines on the left flank ship, Hyunwoo ordered. I want it disabled, not destroyed. Understood, Taeyang replied. His fingers danced across the controls. The railguns adjusted their aim. A 3-round burst struck the Valkyrie ship's engine section with surgical precision. The alien vessel went dark, drifting without power. Direct hit. Target disabled, Taeyang confirmed. The Valkyrie were learning that they had made a catastrophic error. This was not a helpless merchant ship. This was a predator, and they were the prey. War Chief Throxul watched from his flagship as another of his ships died. The human vessel moved like a fighter, not like a cargo hauler. Its weapons struck with accuracy that suggested advanced targeting systems. His fleet was being torn apart. How is this possible? He demanded. They are merchants, cargo haulers. Our intelligence said they were weak. His tactical officer studied the displays, mandibles clicking nervously. War Chief, I'm analyzing their combat patterns. This crew has military training, advanced military training, and their ship, it's not what we thought it was. Obviously, Throxul roared. But how did we not know? We have raided human ships before. Perhaps, the tactical officer said carefully. Perhaps this is what all human ships have become. The thought was terrifying. If every human cargo vessel was actually a warship, then humanity had turned its entire merchant fleet into a military force. It meant that any human ship, anywhere in the galaxy, could fight back. It meant that the soft, diplomatic humans that everyone thought they knew were actually something else entirely. On the Times Taeho's Pride asterisk, Hyunwoo opened a communication channel. Not just to the Valkyrie fleet, but to all frequencies. He wanted everyone listening to hear this message. Attention all vessels in range. This is Captain Hyunwoo of the human cargo ship Times Taeho's Pride asterisk. 20 years ago, humanity learned a hard lesson. We learned that the galaxy is dangerous. We learned that there are those who see kindness as weakness and peace as an invitation to attack. He paused, watching as another Valkyrie ship tried to escape. Jiwoo was already moving to intercept it. So we changed. Hyunwoo continued. We didn't abandon our desire for peace. We didn't become conquerors. But we made a promise to ourselves. Never again would we be helpless. Every human ship can fight. Every human colony can defend itself. Every human is trained for the possibility of war, even if we hope we never need that training. A Valkyrie missile struck their shields. The ship shook, but held. You looked at my ship and saw a cargo vessel. You saw an easy target. You were wrong. We are merchants, yes. We carry supplies and goods across the stars. But we are also warriors. We are also soldiers. We are humans, and we remember what it takes to survive. He made a gesture, and Taeyang launched another salvo. 2 more Valkyrie ships went dark. To the Valkyrie fleet. You attacked us, expecting surrender. You will receive only annihilation. To everyone else listening, this is what humanity has become. We don't seek war, but if you bring war to us, we will end it. We will always end it. The transmission ended. In the silence that followed, the crew of the Times Taeho's Pride Times continued their work. They fought with the calm efficiency of professionals, of people who had trained for this moment and hoped it would never come. But it had come. And they were ready. War Chief Throckzul stared at his display. He had started this engagement with 15 ships. Now he had only 12. 3 were destroyed, 4 were disabled and drifting, and the human ship showed no signs of stopping. All remaining vessels, he ordered, converge on the human ship. All weapons, maximum firepower. We will crush them through sheer numbers. It was a desperate plan. But he was a desperate commander. His reputation, his career, his very life depended on destroying this human ship. The 8 remaining functional Valkyrie vessels turned as one, accelerating toward the Times Taeho's Pride asterisk. Every weapon they had began charging. They would pour everything they had into this attack. Hyunwoo watched them come. Here they come. All hands, brace for impact. This is going to get rough. Part 3. The hunter becomes the hunted. The Valkyrie attack came like a storm. 8 ships, all their weapons firing at once. Plasma bolts streaked through space, leaving trails of superheated gas. Kinetic rounds, massive chunks of metal accelerated to incredible speeds, hammered against the Times Taeho's Pride asterisk. Energy beams, powerful enough to cut through starship hulls, focused on the human vessel. The shields flared bright blue, then white, then began to fail. Alarms wailed throughout the ship. The bridge shook violently. A control panel exploded in a shower of sparks. The lights flickered and went to emergency red. Shields at 30%, Jiwoo shouted over the noise. 20%. They're going to break through. Evasive maneuvers, Hyunwoo ordered, gripping his command chair to stay in his seat. Don't let them get a solid lock. Jiwoo's hands flew across her controls. The Times Taeho's Pride. Times twisted and turned, trying to present its strongest armor to the incoming fire. But there were too many attackers, coming from too many directions. Some shots were going to hit, no matter what she did. A kinetic round punched through the weakened shields and struck the port side. Metal screamed. The ship lurched sideways from the impact. Somewhere deep in the vessel, structural supports gave way with sounds like thunder. Hull breach, Deck 7. Came a report from damage control. Sealing emergency bulkheads now. Shields down to 15%, Jiwoo reported. Another hit. The ship shuddered. 10%. Captain, we can't take much more of this. Hyunwoo's mind raced. The Valkyrie had stopped running. They had gathered their courage and were throwing everything they had at his ship. It was working. Another minute of this concentrated fire, and the Times Taeho's Pride Times would be destroyed. He needed to change the situation. He needed to break their formation. Scatter them. Make them afraid again. Daehyun, he said into the comm, his voice calm despite the chaos around him. Deploy the cargo drones. There was a brief pause. Then Daehyun's voice came back, and Hyunwoo could hear the smile in it. Deploying cargo drones. They're going to be very surprised, Captain. 1. In the main cargo bay, dozens of containers began to open. What emerged were not the simple cargo-handling drones that the manifest claimed. These were military-grade, autonomous attack craft, small, fast, and armed with their own weapons systems. They had been hiding in plain sight, disguised as ordinary equipment. The drones launched from the Times Tejo's Pride Times in a swarm. 50 small craft, each one with its own targeting system and weapons. They spread out in a coordinated pattern, moving toward the Velkari ships. "What are those?" Thrakzul demanded, watching his tactical display fill with new contacts. More human tricks. The drones opened fire. Individually, they were not very powerful, but 50 of them attacking at once was devastating. They targeted sensor arrays, weapon mounts, engine nacelles. They found weak points and exploited them with ruthless efficiency. A Velkari ship, distracted by the drone swarm attacking its port side, failed to notice the railgun rounds coming from the Times Tejo's Pride Times until too late. The rounds struck its reactor containment. The ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. 7 ships left, Taeyang reported. "Drones are doing their job. Enemy formation is breaking up," Hyun-woo nodded. "Ji-woo, take us after the closest one." Taeyang, "Focus all weapons on single targets. We take them down one at a time." "Yes, sir." The Times Tejo's Pride Times surged forward. Its shields were nearly gone. Its hull was damaged, but its weapons still worked. And now, instead of defending, it was attacking. Ji-woo sent the ship into a sharp turn, bringing them alongside a Velkari vessel that was trying to shake off attacking drones. Taeyang didn't wait for orders. Every weapon the ship had fired at point-blank range. The Velkari ship's shields collapsed instantly. The hull buckled and tore. Atmosphere vented into space in frozen clouds. The ship went dark and dead. "Target destroyed," Taeyang said. 6 remaining. The battle had reversed. Now it was the Velkari who were being hunted. Now it was the Velkari who were afraid. "War Chief, we must retreat," one of Thrakzul's officers pleaded. "We've lost 9 ships. More than half our fleet." "No!" Thrakzul roared. But there was desperation in his voice now. "We can still win. They're damaged. One more push and they'll break." But his crews no longer believed him. They had seen 9 of their ships destroyed by a single human vessel. They had watched their overwhelming advantage turn into a massacre. Fear was spreading through the fleet like a disease. One Velkari ship broke formation and ran. Its captain had decided that survival was more important than orders. He pointed his ship away from the battle and engaged maximum acceleration. "Ship 3 is retreating, War Chief," the tactical officer reported. "Coward," Thrakzul screamed. "I'll have him executed." But the damage was done. Seeing one ship flee gave others the same idea. A second ship turned and ran. Then a third. Hyun-woo watched the Velkari fleet fall apart. "Ji-woo, pursue the runners. Don't let them escape." "Understood," Ji-woo replied. She was already adjusting course. The Times Tejo's Pride Times might be damaged, but it was still faster than the fleeing Velkari ships. "Captain, Dae-hyun here," came a voice from engineering. "I've got damage control teams working on the hull breaches. We're also rerouting power to get the shields back up. But I need time." "How much time?" Hyun-woo asked. 10 minutes for temporary repairs. 30 for something more solid." "You've got 10 minutes, Hyun-woo said. "After that, we're going back into the fight." "Understood, Captain. We'll make it work." That was the thing about human crews, Hyun-woo thought. They always made it work. During the war with the Krellians, humanity had learned to repair ships in the middle of battle, to keep fighting even when everything seemed lost. Those lessons had not been forgotten. The Times Tejo's Pride Times caught up with one of the fleeing Velkari ships. This one had taken damage earlier and was slower than the others. Taeyang put a railgun round through its engines. The ship went dead in space, drifting helplessly. "Target disabled," Taeyang reported. "Should I finish it?" "No," Hyun-woo said. "Let them drift. They're no longer a threat, and I want survivors to tell this story." He opened a communication channel to all the Velkari ships. "War Chief Thrakzul, You have 3 ships left that can still fight. You started this battle with 15. Do you understand what's happening here? You attacked a human ship expecting an easy victory. Instead, you're being destroyed. Throxul appeared on the view screen. His mandibles were clicking rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation in his species. You are not like the other humans we have raided. No, Hyunwoo agreed. We're not. The humans you raided before were unarmed civilian ships. Ships that hadn't been converted yet. Ships that truly were helpless. But those days are over. Every human ship now can fight. Every single one. You'll never find an easy target among us again. Every. This is wrong, Throxul insisted. Merchant ships should not be warships. This violates the natural order. Hyunwoo's expression turned cold. The natural order? You mean the order where pirates like you prey on the weak? Where you raid and kill and enslave without consequence? That natural order is over. Humanity has changed the rules. He made a gesture, and the communication link cut off. Jiwoo, set course for the Valkyrie flagship. It's time to end this. The Times, Taeho's Pride Times, turned toward Warchief Throxul's command ship. Behind them, the battle had left a field of debris and disabled vessels. The human cargo ship, battered but unbroken, moved in for the kill. And Warchief Throxul, for the first time in his life, knew what it felt like to be prey. Part 4. The Cost of Underestimating Humanity. Warchief Throxul made his decision. If he was going to die, he would take the humans with him. He had 3 ships left. They would all focus on the damaged human vessel. One concentrated strike, everything they had, all at once. All remaining vessels. Formation around my flagship, he ordered. We attack together. Target their damaged sections. Break them apart. The 3 Valkyrie ships moved into position, forming a triangle with Throxul's flagship at the point. Every weapon powered up. Every targeting system locked onto the Times Taeho's Pride asterisk. This would be their final attack. Enemy ships are coordinating, Jiwoo warned. They're preparing for a concentrated assault. I see it, Hyunwoo said. He studied the tactical display, calculating angles and distances. The Valkyrie were putting everything into this attack. If they succeeded, his ship would be destroyed. But if they failed, they would have nothing left. Dae-hyun, how are those repairs coming? He asked. Shields are back up to 40%, Captain. Hull breaches are sealed. But we're not at full capacity. It'll have to be enough. Hyunwoo looked at his crew. They were tired, injured, but still ready to fight. Youngmi had reported 12 crew members injured, but all would survive. His ship was damaged but operational. They could still win this. Captain, Taeyang said, I've been analyzing the Valkyrie formation. There's a weakness. If we can get between the flagship and the 2 support ships, we can prevent them from supporting each other. Show me, Hyunwoo ordered. A diagram appeared on his screen. Taeyang had marked a narrow gap in the Valkyrie formation. If they could fly through it at the right angle, the Valkyrie ships would have to stop firing or risk hitting each other. That's a very small target, Jiwoo said, studying the same diagram. And we'd have to fly straight at them. No evasive maneuvers. No. Can you do it? Hyunwoo asked. Jiwoo was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled. During the war, I flew through the debris field at Titan, while being chased by 6 Krellian interceptors. This is easier than that. Then, do it. The Times Taeho's Pride Times accelerated directly toward the Valkyrie formation. It was a bold move, aggressive, the opposite of what a damaged ship should do. The Valkyrie saw them coming and opened fire. Plasma bolts and kinetic rounds filled the space between the ships. The Times Taeho's Pride Times shook as hits struck the shields. The shield strength dropped rapidly. 40%, 35, 30. Hold course, Hyunwoo ordered calmly. 25%. 20. The Valkyrie fire was relentless. On the view screen, their ships grew larger as the distance closed. Now Jiwoo's hands moved in a blur. The times Taeho's pride. Times rolled and twisted, threading through the narrow gap in the Valkyrie formation. For 3 seconds, they were inside the enemy formation, surrounded on all sides by hostile ships that couldn't fire without hitting their allies. Taeyang, fire, Hyunwoo commanded. At point-blank range, every weapon on the times Taeho's pride times discharged. Railguns, missiles, energy weapons, everything they had left. The attack struck the Valkyrie flagship's bridge section. Armor plating exploded. The bridge collapsed inward. Atmosphere vented into space, carrying bodies and debris with it. Then they were through, emerging on the other side of the formation. Behind them, Throxul's flagship tumbled out of control. Its command section destroyed. Direct hit on enemy flagship, Taeyang reported. Their bridge is gone. The ship is out of the fight. The 2 remaining Valkyrie ships were in disarray. Their commander was dead or incapacitated. They were leaderless, confused, and terrified. One of them immediately turned and ran at maximum speed. The other simply stopped, drifting in space, as if its crew had given up. Hyunwoo watched them on the tactical display. 15 Valkyrie ships had attacked his vessel. 14 were now destroyed, disabled, or fleeing. Only 1 remained, and it showed no intention of continuing the fight. "Hail the remaining ship," Hyunwoo ordered. The communication screen showed a Valkyrie officer who looked young and frightened. "Please," the alien said immediately. "We surrender. We surrender. Do not destroy us." "What is your name?" Hyunwoo asked. "Sub-Commander Velikthar. I am. I was the tactical officer on Ship 7. Our captain is dead. Most of our command crew is dead. I am the highest-ranking officer left." "Sub-Commander Velikthar," Hyunwoo said, his voice firm but not cruel. "You are going to return to Valkyrie space. You are going to tell your government exactly what happened here. Do you understand?" Yes, I understand. Tell them that you attacked a human cargo ship. Tell them how many ships you brought. Tell them how many survived. Make sure they understand this message. Humanity will not be easy prey anymore. We do not seek war, but if you bring war to us, this is what will happen." "I will tell them," Velikthar said. "I will tell everyone. I swear it." "Go," Hyunwoo said. "And Sub-Commander, don't ever attack a human ship again." The communication ended. The Valkyrie ship slowly turned and limped away, heading back toward their home territory. Hyunwoo watched it go, making sure it actually left the battle area. "Should we destroy it?" Taeyang asked. "We could end this permanently." "No," Hyunwoo said. "Let them go. We need witnesses. We need people who will tell this story across the galaxy. Fear can be a better weapon than missiles." He stood from his command chair and surveyed the bridge. Sparks still fell from damaged panels. The emergency lights gave everything a red tinge. But his crew had survived. His ship had survived. "All hands, this is the captain. Stand down from battle stations. Begin damage assessment and repairs. Well done, everyone. You fought like the professionals you are." In engineering, Dae-hyun was already coordinating repair teams. In the medical bay, Young-mi was treating the last of the injured crew members. At the pilot station, Ji-woo allowed herself a moment to relax, her hands finally stopping their constant movement over the controls. "Captain," she said quietly, "we actually did it. 1 ship against 15. "We did," Hyunwoo confirmed. "But we paid a price. 12. Injured. Major damage to the ship. We were lucky. Ji-woo. Very lucky." "Lucky and good," she replied with a tired smile. Hyunwoo nodded. He looked out at the debris field around them. Pieces of Valkyrie ships floated in the darkness. Somewhere in that wreckage were the bodies of hundreds of aliens who had made the mistake of thinking humans were soft. It was not a pleasant thought. Hunsong, he said to the ship's AI. Compile a full report of the engagement. Include all tactical data, damage reports, and casualty lists. Send it to Fleet Command. With priority encryption. Acknowledged, Captain Hyunwoo. Report will be ready in 15 minutes. Hyunwoo sat back down in his chair. The battle was over, but the consequences were just beginning. This engagement would send ripples across the galaxy. Other species would hear about it. Governments would reassess their views of humanity. Pirates would think twice before attacking ships with human markings. Ji-woo, set course for Brennan's world. We still have medical supplies to deliver. Course set, Captain. We'll arrive in 36 hours. Good. Let's go finish our job. We're still a cargo ship, after all. The Times Taeho's Pride Times turned away from the battle site and accelerated toward its original destination. Behind it, disabled Velkari ships drifted in the darkness. Monuments to the price of underestimating humanity. And ahead, the stars waited. Vast and mysterious, and full of both dangers and possibilities, humanity had changed. They had learned to be more than just explorers and merchants. They had become survivors. They had become warriors when necessary, and the galaxy was only beginning to understand what that meant. Part 5. Ripples across the galaxy. Sub-Commander Velik Thar's ship arrived at the Velkari homeworld 3 days after the battle. His vessel was damaged, limping on failing engines, but he carried something more important than a functional ship. He carried a story that would change everything. The Velkari High Council gathered in their great hall when they heard that a raiding fleet had returned. But when they learned that only one ship survived out of 15, the mood turned dark. Explain yourself, demanded Council Leader Thrakvar. Where is War Chief Thrakzul? Where is his fleet? Velik Thar stood before them, still bearing injuries from the battle. War Chief Thrakzul is dead. His flagship was destroyed. 14 of our 15 ships were destroyed or disabled, all by a single human vessel. Silence fell across the hall. Then came disbelief, anger, demands for details. Velik Thar told them everything. The ambush that should have been easy. The human ship that revealed itself to be a warship. The battle that turned into a massacre. The final message from the human captain. This is impossible. One council member said. Humans are weak. They negotiate. They pay ransoms. We have raided them successfully before. Not anymore, Velik Thar replied. They have changed. Every human ship can fight now. Every single one. They are not the species we thought they were. The story spread quickly. Within days, every Velkari clan knew about the disaster. Their reputation as unstoppable raiders had been shattered. The species they had considered easy prey had destroyed their best fleet. But the story didn't stop with the Velkari. Other species heard it too. Trade networks carried the tale across the galaxy. The human cargo ship that destroyed 15 pirate vessels. The species that had turned all its merchants into warriors. On Earth, Fleet Command reviewed Captain Hyunwoo's report. The engagement was analyzed in detail. Lessons were learned. The tactics used by the Times Taeho's Pride Times became required study for all Seoul-class vessel commanders. Admiral Park Ji-hae, commander of the Earth Defense Fleet, called a meeting with the diplomatic corps. This incident is going to have consequences, she told them. Ambassador Soo-jin nodded. She had been expecting this call. The Galactic Council has already requested a special session. They want to discuss what they're calling the militarization of civilian space traffic. Let them discuss it, the Admiral said. We're not going to apologize for defending ourselves. I agree, Soo-jin replied. But we need to control the narrative. We need to make it clear that we're not aggressors. We're survivors who refuse to be victims. The special session of the Galactic Council was held 2 weeks after the battle. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered in the great chamber on the neutral station of Unity Point. The humans arrived with a small delegation, led by Ambassador Sujin. She stood at the speaker's podium, facing the assembled aliens. Some looked curious. Others looked hostile. A few looked afraid. "Members of the council," she began. "You have called us here to discuss the incident in the Outer Veil sector. You want to know why a human cargo ship destroyed a Velkari raiding fleet. You want to know if humanity has become a threat. I will tell you the truth." The chamber was silent. Every being there was listening. 20 years ago, humanity encountered the Krellian Empire. We attempted peaceful contact. They responded with war. They attacked our colonies, killed our people, and attempted to conquer Earth itself. We fought back and eventually won, but at terrible cost. Millions died. She paused, letting that sink in. After that war, we asked ourselves a question. How do we prevent this from happening again? How do we protect ourselves without becoming conquerors? Our answer was simple. We would make sure that every human ship, every human colony, every human installation could defend itself. We would never again be helpless. A representative from the Dalthian collective spoke up. But cargo ships as warships? This seems aggressive, even militaristic. Is it? Sujin asked. Think about what we're actually doing. We're not building invasion fleets. We're not conquering territory. We're making sure our merchants can protect themselves. Would you prefer we send armed escorts with every cargo vessel? That would actually be more militaristic. But the Velkari fleet was destroyed. Another delegate said. 15 ships against 1. That's not defense. That's domination. The Velkari attacked us, Sujin replied, her voice firm. Should we have let them take our cargo and enslave our crew? Would any of you have done that? No one answered. We don't seek conflict, Sujin continued. But if you bring conflict to us, we will end it. We will always end it. That's not aggression. That's survival. She looked around the chamber. I want to be clear about humanity's position. We will continue to trade with all willing partners. We will continue to explore and establish peaceful relations. But we will also continue to ensure that every human can defend themselves. If that makes you uncomfortable, then don't attack us. It's that simple. The session ended without any formal actions. The council could not agree on whether humanity's policy was acceptable or not. But it didn't matter. The message had been delivered. The galaxy understood. In the weeks that followed, pirate attacks on human ships dropped to nearly zero. Pirates were not stupid. They looked for easy targets. And humans were no longer easy. The Velkari sovereignty, meanwhile, was falling apart. Species they had oppressed for generations saw the defeat of the raiding fleet as proof that the Velkari could be beaten. Rebellions broke out across their territory. The High Council, desperate to restore order, did something unprecedented. They formally apologized to humanity and offered reparations. War Chief Thraxul's body was recovered from the wreckage of his flagship. He was brought home and tried posthumously for his failure. His name became a cautionary tale among his people. The commander who underestimated humanity and paid the ultimate price. 5 years passed. The incident in the Outer Veil sector became history, a story told to young officers and diplomats as a lesson in assumptions and preparedness. Captain Hyunwoo received a promotion and a new ship. The Times King Sejong *, a newer Seoul-class vessel with improved weapons and defenses. His crew came with him. Ji Woo as his chief pilot, Dae Hyun as chief engineer, Young Mi as chief medical officer, and Tae Young as weapons officer. They continued their work, carrying cargo across the stars, maintaining the facade of being simple merchants, while ready at any moment to fight if necessary. On a routine run through the Outer Veil sector, now renamed Taeho's Stand, in honor of the battle, Hyunwoo stood on the bridge and looked out at the stars. A memorial station floated nearby, built by freed slaves whose liberation had been possible because Velkari power had collapsed after their defeat. "Captain, we're receiving a distress call," Jiwoo reported. "It's from a mining colony in the Raven's Nest system. They're under attack by unknown hostiles." Hyunwoo didn't hesitate. "Set course for Raven's Nest. Maximum speed." "Course laid in," Jiwoo confirmed. "All hands, battle stations," Hyunwoo announced throughout the ship. "This is not a drill. We have friendlies under attack. Prepare for combat." The familiar sound of the alarm filled the ship. The crew moved to their positions with practiced efficiency. Weapons powered up. Shields activated. The false hull plates prepared to drop away. Taeyang looked up from his console. "Sir, we don't know what we're flying into. It could be a fleet. It could be anything. Doesn't matter," Hyunwoo replied. "There are people who need help." That's enough. The Times King Sejong Times accelerated, heading toward another fight. Another chance to show the galaxy what humanity had become. They were not conquerors. They were not warmongers, but they were survivors, protectors, and warriors when the situation demanded it. "How long until we arrive?" Hyunwoo asked. 40 minutes at current speed," Jiwoo replied. "Good." Hyunwoo sat in his command chair, calm and ready. "Let's remind the galaxy why they shouldn't mess with humans." The ship raced through space, a cargo vessel that was also a warship, a merchant that was also a guardian. Behind it, the memorial station at Taeho's stand stood as a monument to the price of underestimating humanity. Ahead, new challenges waited in the endless dark, but humanity was ready. They were always ready. That was the lesson they had learned. The promise they had made to themselves. Never again would they be helpless. Never again would they be easy prey. The stars stretched on forever, full of wonders and dangers, and among them, human ships carried their cargo and maintained their vigil. Always watching, always prepared, always ready to show that kindness and strength could exist together. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity remembered its history, and the future remained unwritten, full of infinite possibilities.